I bought this jet ski, but there's a catch. It doesn't start. And the reason why I believe I got such a great deal on this jet ski is because the seller previously told me he took it to multiple shops, but nobody could actually fix it or figure out the issue with the jet ski. This is a 2017 Yamaha EX Wave Runner, and it only has 115 hours. I got it for $1,000. When I bought the jet ski, I noticed one big problem. If you look down here, you can actually see that somebody started to take it apart. After pressing the start button a couple times, we didn't hear anything from the jet ski. So we're going to check the battery voltage with a multimeter and make sure it actually has a charge. And after putting the probes on the battery, you can see that the meter is reading 12.7 volts. That means our battery is fully charged. So there's probably something else going on. I have no idea what's wrong with it. So we're going to wheel it into Rob's garage and see if we can figure it out and diagnose the problem. So the question is, can I fix and flip this for a profit? Let's find out. And I have Jack here who is ready to diagnose the problem before we even get started. So now we're going to check the oil and make sure that there's nothing crazy happening inside this engine, which the oil check is right here. Well, that's not that good. There's no oil in it. If I remember correctly, most jet ski engines actually use a dry sump system, meaning that unless you start the engine, the oil is going to appear low unless you ran it, which of course we haven't since this one doesn't run. Now we got to remove the coil packs to inspect the spark plugs. So now that we remove all three spark plugs, we can see that they are a little tiny bit rusty, but that shouldn't cause an issue. What I wanted to look for is make sure that the tips of them weren't burned off or they were completely destroyed from like a piston coming apart and hitting the top of them. Now, we're gonna actually put this small little camera inside the cylinder and see if there's any damage. And as you can see, the inside of the engine actually looks really good. So I'm hoping that there's nothing wrong internally with the engine, and the reason why the engine doesn't turn is for some other reason. Probably the jet pump, because we do remember that they did take it apart, so we should probably look there next. This is actually what I think is causing the issue, and from a little bit of research, I found out that a lot of problems with these Yamaha EXs are caused by the jet pumps, and usually what causes the issue is the wearing. So more than likely, there's something causing an issue with the engine not turning because of this. Do you agree that that's the problem, Jack? I think he agrees. And since Jack loves to go on jet skis, he's probably going to be appearing many times in this video because he thinks we're going to go for a ride. Oh, you heard that word. I'm not able to turn the engine over with the starter, so what we're going to do is take this big wrench and put it on the drive shaft, and hopefully we can get the engine to turn over. Oh. And as you see, it looks like the engine actually turns over, but like we kind of thought, the jet pump is the issue. And we can confirm that because if we turn the engine, you'll probably see the whole jet pump move, but stop because the problem lies within. Since there's no bolts holding on the jet pump, we can take our screwdriver or a pry bar and try to pry it off. And normally this will just come right off if there's grease on the splines, but that's not happening. Well, the problem is that impeller is actually attached to the drive shaft, and since it probably didn't have a lot of grease on it when it was installed, it basically welded itself to the drive shaft, not allowing this pump to come off, and that's probably why no one has been able to fix this jet ski, because there's no way to easily remove it. The only way that we're going to be able to actually fix this jet ski, because we pretty much confirmed that the pump is the reason why the engine doesn't turn and why I got this for such a good deal, is to remove the engine. And to remove this engine, we're going to have to disconnect a bunch of hoses and wires. So we're going to start doing that right now. And it looks like we're going to have to remove this exhaust manifold to get this engine to clear out of this engine bay, because it ain't going to fit. Jesus, that one's really tight. Yeah. Well, I'm done playing around with mechanical ratchets like a caveman. So I picked this thing up from a garage sale for like 10 bucks, which this should make it a lot faster. That was a lot faster. This clamp just completely rusted and broke as soon as I touched it. Whew. Oh, and there we go. One piece of the exhaust with a little corrosion. There's no clamp on here. Well, let's see. Oh, check that out. Look at that. That clamp is completely rusted in half. And if you were to drive this thing, that hose would have probably popped off, and again, it would have filled up the jet ski and probably sank. So it's always good to check your clamps when you have a jet ski, or even any outboard motor or marine engine. Jesus. There we go, that's the muffler. And if you guys don't believe me, check this out. Look at these clamps that actually passed water from the outside through the engine. Look at how rusty these are. Finally, after fighting with it, we got the exhaust manifold out. And it's actually not too bad, but you can see there's a little corrosion, so they definitely use this jet ski in the salt water and didn't flush it all the time. But when I'm done with this thing, it'll look brand new. There we go. Just took a couple minutes, but we got all the connectors off the ECU and the tip over sensor and the intake boot as well, which now we get to remove the airbox. Finally, 1,000 wires later, we got everything unplugged and we can start taking this engine actually out of the jet ski. Now that we got everything off, we're gonna connect the engine to the lifting strap, just like that. Now, we're ready to take the engine out. So now we got the engine out of the ski and we have to take the drive shaft out, which is why we did all this work in the first place. So to make my life easy, we're gonna lift the whole ski up and cut the drive shaft. So now we got to get the drive shaft off, and there's a lot of things that we can use to get it out, but the only thing that I have that will work is probably this angle grinder. So we're going to just cut it right here, and I think we can pull it out, hopefully relatively easy. We got that shaft cut in half. Now the moment of truth, finally, we cut it off. You see what we had to do to get it off. And that's why nobody could fix this jet ski, because nobody could get this pump out of there. So the only way to do it was literally what we did, pull the engine out and cut the drive shaft, which is a pretty crazy thing to do, but hey, that's what we had to do. And you can see this is the drive shaft that'll come right out now. I'll explain a little bit how this all works, because this might be confusing to some people that don't really know how jet skis work. As you can see, this is the jet pump right here, and you have the impeller and the drive shaft, or what's left of it. And the reason why I cut it in half is because this drive shaft is normally supposed to easily pull out of this impeller, and it has splines on it. But because of rust and corrosion, this has completely welded itself inside here, and there's no way to pull it out. Now, we're gonna spend a little time using the wire wheel to take all the corrosion off of these exhaust and other components. And now that we did that, it looks almost brand new. I'm gonna clean this thing up. If you take a look inside, you can see how dirty and disgusting this thing is now that we took the engine out. So now we're gonna spray some
secret sauce,
which will clean all of the nasty, oily junk out of this jet ski. Well, I wanted to clean it with my pressure cleaner, but it looks like I'm gonna have to use something else to clean this thing. Well, when you have a problem, you always come up with a solution. So after we pressure cleaned it, I think it looks a lot better now. That is really rusty. We finally got the last clamp off, and I want to ask you something. Why do you think all these clamps are so rusty and we had to do all this work because of that one rusty shaft? Leave your comments down below and see what you think caused all these issues. And now we replaced all those clamps so they won't come off and sink the jet ski. Now that we cleaned up the engine, I think it's time to put this thing back in the ski. And the main thing that I needed was the jet pump. But of course, since I cut the drive shaft, I had to pick one up as well. And just so happenly, the guy was parting out one of these jet skis and also had the drive shaft for sale for an extra 40 bucks. So of course I scooped it up because this is like $400 if I wanted to buy it brand new. So I think I got a great deal. I also picked up this jet pump for only $100, which is good news because it turns and spins freely. So we don't have to do anything else but install it. And check it out. Look at how nice and easy this spins. No play and no binding. Now we got to put the bearing carrier back on. And now that the drive shaft is all back together, I can also explain on how important and what this purpose of this actually is. As you can see, this right here is the carrier bearing underneath. And this little rubber boot actually seals the jet ski to the bearing, so that way no water will come in from the outside and leak inside the jet ski. So it's very important that the seal's good. And all of this work could have been prevented if somebody added a little extra grease to the drive shaft and performed the proper maintenance. And before we put the engine in, something that I want to show you that's very important is Yamaha usually uses these little spacer plates, and you have to remember to put these back in if you're pulling an engine on a Yamaha Wave Runner. Because if you don't put these back on, you'll get a bad vibration from the drive shaft, because these are critical to lining up the drive shaft to the engine. And to make sure that we can get these bolts out if we need to, I'm going to put a little more anti-seize on them, which will help the future person. And just a little bit goes a long way. Now let's screw them in. And I decided before we put the air intake back on the ski, we should probably replace the starter solenoid because it's pretty hard to get to since it's on the front of this air box. So we might as well replace it while we're in there and spend a couple more bucks. The hardest thing I've done so far in this whole build is actually just been connecting all these wires because they go everywhere. But I'm making pretty good progress, and I think in the next hour we should have this thing pretty much ready to start. Now the moment of truth. I put almost everything back together in the jet ski, and I think it's time to put this jet pump. And to prevent this from happening to the next person, we're going to add a little bit of anti-seize or grease to this drive shaft spline so the new impeller doesn't get welded on here, so they have to do this all over again. I got it. And while we were at the store, I also picked up some spark plugs to throw in this plug. So let's just take the old ones out right now and replace them. And last step, we got the exhaust or the water box that we got to install. And we're going to put a new stainless steel hose clamp, which, as you saw previously in the video, completely disintegrated and broke off. Come on. It's almost 1 a.m. in the morning, and of course, I had to keep working because now it's finally finished. Everything's back together. Put all the hoses on, the exhaust is on, the wiring harness is connected, it has new spark plugs, and the only thing left to do right now is to put the key in it and see if it starts. And I have a question. How many of you down below, leave your comment, will think this engine will start the first time I hit the key? Well, let's cross our fingers and let's see if it'll start. Hey, look at that. It fired right up. I want to show you something that you should know if you have a jet ski. You should always flush your jet ski to prevent problems like this from happening. And it's pretty easy, but there's a lot of confusion when it comes to flushing jet skis, and I want to clarify that right now. When you're flushing a jet ski, you always want to connect the hose first, right here, where Yamaha has placed the flushing attachment, and it's pretty easy. And now that you connected the hose, you always want to start the jet ski first, which is very important, because if you don't start the engine first before you turn the water on, you could actually flood the engine and do possible serious damage to it. So you want to start it, then turn the water on. And then, if you turn it off, you want to turn the water off first and then turn the jet ski off. So let's hit the green button and see what happens. Hey! Alright, well, it fired right up. And check this out. And now we're going to go check the oil because we ran the engine, and that's when you should take the oil because this engine is a dry sump engine and you can't really check it until you actually turn it over. And check it out, we got good oil. The oil level is completely full. Now that we finished all the work on the jet ski, we're going to list it for sale for $4,500. To summarize, if we sell the jet ski for $4,500 minus all the expenses, which equates to around $1,330, we'll get an estimated profit of $3,200, which is pretty good. While the jet ski was selling, my wife invited me to help her deliver a boat and support her as she raced across Europe. We picked up the boat in Spain and took a massive ferry to Sardinia, Italy. It's wild how huge those things are and how many cars you can fit. You know we arrived in Sardinia when the first thing you see is Italian signs and people towing boats. We explored a bit before getting down to business and putting my Rob's Garage skills to work, adding decals, coaching on the water, and making sure my wife ate enough pasta to stay fueled. It turned into an amazing opportunity to recharge, make new connections, and appreciate this incredible world we get to be a part of. I saw some unbelievable yacht tenders, massive inflatable beasts, and couldn't help but feel grateful to be surrounded by the marine world wherever I go. Before long, it was time to pack up again. We caught another ferry, drove across what felt like endless French tolls and past the Sagrada Familia and countless tunnels. And even a random sign full of question marks that still makes me laugh. Eventually, we made it to Alicante, Spain, spent a few incredible days helping my wife's team and a few other boats too, before finally packing up and flying back to the good old United States of America. If you like this video, make sure you leave a comment, like, and subscribe. And thanks for watching Rob's Garage.